Hello and welcome to GRIDwrap live at Metaverse Island. And today's guest on the sofa is Joja Dhara. Now, Joja has been looking over her blurb and I noticed her laugh at the word leader, but we'll come to that in a minute. But I've got you down as community manager of Virtual Holland, co-organizer of MetaMeets conference, Joja. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, totally. And yeah, hello everybody, and thank you for having me here.
Well, I'm very grateful to you for coming, Joja. Now, listen, there is lots and lots of things for us to talk about today, and I'm really looking forward to talking about them. I'm going to start right at the very beginning and just ask you what brought you into Second Life.
Oh, wow. That's a long story, but well, I can say it in 2 words. Duran.
Duran Duran brought you in.
Yes.
Now, it is rumoured that they are here somewhere, or certainly were. But is that true? Because it seems to be a bit of a mythology, and that actually Duran Duran are actually a sort of made-up band in Second Life as a sort of fan band. Or is that not true?
No, they are seriously here. There are still 4 islands created, and 4 islands created, and yeah, well, they were created by the company Rivers Run Red,
Mm.
and yeah, first that's how I started off here in Second Life is when I went to this island from Rivers Run Red called Avalon, where they had this waiting room for Duran fans. And yeah, from there we were waiting that the whole island would be created and that we all could go on there and yeah have a great Duran community. Unfortunately, it's, yeah, for some reasons it never happened. Maybe in my guess, it's a little bit like, yeah, it was in 2006, 2007 when there was the hype, of course, of Second Life.
Mm.
And yeah, everybody was still exploring. And of course, you have to deal with copyrights. And of course, with music, it's also very tough. And yeah, probably it was too early for them. And well, we still are hoping, and I'm still waiting for the islands to open and yeah, enjoy the environment of Duran Duran.
So it's basically, a bit of Kevin Costner. So to build it and they will come.
Yeah, those kind of things, I think. But
Mm.
honestly, I must say that the Duran Duran community is still vibrant. There are still fans all around, and I guess if Duran Duran is really thinking of having a virtual community here in Second Life, thousands will turn up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's a pretty good thing for them to be doing, actually.
yeah, they should.
I have spent my life in here persuading myself that various people I've bumped into have been members of that band. So I think I'm not the only one, I don't think either, am I?
Um,
Okay. So once you were in and you found it, you just stayed. You liked it, presumably, and you just stayed.
Yeah, well, in that case, if I go back then again to the island of Avalon with from Rivers Run Red, they were displaying more of their projects. And I was just, yeah, following the leader to these projects, to, for instance, like Adidas they had, and what was it, Nike,
Mm.
PA Consulting, they were building up. And yeah, from there I actually started to explore.
And what happened when you started to explore? I mean, how did you come to the virtual Holland region, for example?
Well, in that case, it started off with PA consulting. It was a build with, it was a large, uh, how you say that, an office,
Mm.
and you had a kind of a receptionist in the middle of it. And yeah, luckily I was meeting some people from PA consulting themselves, and I was just sitting behind the desk, and I said to them, "Well, if you ever need a receptionist, just call me." And after a week, they actually pinged me indeed in IM and they said, "Hey, would you like to be a community manager on our island?" and yeah, start to make contact with people, see if they are interested in PA consulting, or do you just show them around, and because they had also a house of the future, which was very interesting to to show people. And
Mm.
indeed, if there were people coming in and said, "Hey, I would like to get in touch with PA consulting," then I would just IM or send them a mail like, "Hey, this and this other person would like to get in touch." So in that point, yeah, at that point, I started to be a kind of a community manager for a company.
So that was a
Um,
real life company, yes.
that was a real life
Mm.
company, and honestly, at that point, I was doing this for. I was doing this for. Sorry, sometimes I get things.
Mm.
I'm doing this for. It was a virtual, let's say, kind of a job. I mean, we did get some lindens for it, and yeah, we started to make a whole group of people who were, helping them out or being community managers. And later on, actually, somebody indeed from Rivers Run Red turned up on the PA island, and he said, well, he was going to Amsterdam. I said, hey, that's good. Let's meet. And well, we met in Amsterdam, and then he said, I got a nice, interesting project for you. And that was community manager for our virtual Holland. And then our virtual Holland was a project from the ING bank during that time.
Mm.
And yeah, that's how it started. And yeah, it was a very interesting project to see, especially what the ING bank was doing. Was they were very interested into let their employees and get in touch with community in world, and they had to bring in a plan and build up a community around it, and it can be a plan like, okay, I just want to live here, or indeed I have a real life business, or yeah, indeed somebody started to of course making a clothing,
Mm.
and yeah, so we started to build it from there. So yeah, and we had different kind of events. It was
So
really a vibrant community during that time, and
So
interesting.
how do you start to build a community, Joja? Because we know that many allegations, not allegations, but many criticisms of real life companies that come in here are that they build their space and they put out their goods and, well, basically their advertising, and then they leave the space to look after itself. There is no presence on there of any sort of living, breathing phantom of avatar or immediate access to people, and so everything drifts away and they go away disappointed as well as the in-world residents. Um, so how do you build a thriving community for a company, Jojo?
Um, well, if I go back to, let's say, in the time of our virtual Holland, the ING Bank was very interested also to get in touch with their employees around the world, but also to get involved with other companies to work with. So, for instance, yeah, they worked together in the Netherlands with Philips Design.
Mm.
And yeah, it was totally about, let's say, making a plan for let's say, businesses, having indeed events, and that, of course, that works perfectly. And also what I like so much, and really Philips Design is one of the biggest examples, is that they had these meetings with their clients or customers, so to speak, from all around the world, to talk about certain topics which has to do, of course, with future of living.
Mm.
Indeed, it is not like, okay, let's put a building over there and that's it. You really need somebody to keep it going. Same as in PA consulting, which what they did was that, despite, of course, if you were not really interested in PA consulting, you would love the environment, especially the future house where they had a very interesting yeah, scripted way of like how the future will be, like an automatic grass mower and stuff like that, which is
Mm.
also interesting to keep your, yeah, people coming in. But of course, events is very important. Having music all the time, and also another thing is what they were a little bit, of course, disappointed with is that, uh, let's say, not every day a person would come to the sim, and
Mm.
they got really nervous about it. And I would suggest, come on, don't be so nervous that maybe, okay, maybe 5 a day will maybe come, but have a great event so that hundreds and hundreds will come. And yeah,
Mm.
that is indeed my advice: is have a good community manager, and make sure that you keep the community alive. In that case, I love it so much for what, and it's such a pity that that disappeared, was, for instance, the Orange Island.
Mm.
I loved it also from Orange that, they were not that present, so to speak, like, oh, well, this is Orange Prime, buy my
Yep.
products. No, they just had the island, they just had the visibility, the brand, and, well, we know what they did. They built up
Mm.
the whole large community, and they talked about all different kinds of it. It was like, or it was about music, or it was about business. They had all kinds, and that is great for what they did, and it became actually an yeah, a brand we all talked about around the world and really cried when
Mm.
they had to leave, for
We
instance.
were very upset, weren't we? I
Yeah,
think one of the winning winning ways they had with them at Orange was the fact that they would just ask you for feedback.
yeah,
They'd ask you for feedback, and as you know, you get those forms maybe after you've been in touch with customer service in in terrestrial space, if you like. You get those forms and it says markers out of 10 as to what we did, this, that, and there, and you have to sit there in it. But there we were able to gather and give feedback if invited, you know. And I found that a very, well, it made me feel that the feedback was effective as
yeah,
opposed to just ticking
totally,
a form.
totally. Yeah, and that was also nice of what Philips Design did. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, they always kept, yeah, they always ask about. They were very interested in their clients, which
mm,
was great. Totally. Unfortunate with the ING Bank. Yeah, it was a it was a very great project, but as it says, in that case, ING was also very large,
mm,
and you notice that sometimes it was very difficult also for companies. Also, yeah, we noticed that with Orange too. You only have a little group of people in the company that's interested in it and
mm,
knows and understand it. But outside, of course, yeah, Second Life, what is that about? And gaming and stuff like that. So they're a little bit skeptic about it. So every time when we had this big plan for an event, for instance, then we had to go through meeting, and would the PR departments agree with it? And, oh, beware of the marketing, beware of the IT, those kind of
mm.
departments, which it was a pity. We really many times we said, just go with the flow, and really we will not harm the brand, for instance. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it's a bit difficult with companies from time to time. Unfortunate, and of course with the yeah, with the changes of the world, unfortunately, ING had to let go.
Mm.
And then we come to the next step, that indeed the community itself and people around the community were allowed to keep some islands. And yeah, Virtual Holland is part of it. And still, I have some of the community from during that time. No.
So talk to us of Virtual Holland. I mean, was that there already, or did that just emerge out of the population of people that were there already?
Yeah, it was from the project, from our
Mm,
Virtual Holland project. Um, I just wanted to say one thing.
mm,
What was yeah, that was a very amazing showcase on this yeah, on the sim. That was that, when we started the project, yeah, everybody has to bring in a plan and a kind of a business plan. And
mm,
then this lady from the ING bank will come up to me and she said, I will make a clothes shop. And I was like, okay, you can make a clothes shop because, yeah, you know.
Mm,
But you have many, many of them over here.
mm,
So I said, yeah, be careful because, yeah, you know, you have many of them, and I don't know if it will be that successful.
mm,
But she did it anyway, and she started, yeah, find her way in marketing and in developing and in designing and everything. And
mm,
she became indeed a huge success. It was so amazing that she found the virtual way, in a virtual way, how to market stuff, how to design, how to do everything. And at the end, that was so great to see in this
mm,
project that she was like, you know, I'm from the ING Bank, from a little town. You know, I'm in a little office in the in
mm,
the in somewhere in the middle of Holland, and I'm not happy here. I'm so great in designing. I'd like to do something else. And she went up to the boss and she says, you know, can I do something else? Because, you know, I'm doing this right now and it's going so great and I'm much more happy with it. And she got a different job now in the ING bank, which is so great. Then at that point, you really start to realize how virtual worlds can affect on a person. Part which I really loved, and then started to like and to investigate much more from hey. And I like to stimulate it too to people in this community, especially like, hey, here you got my, you know, this is my blank page. Go ahead
mm.
and start to create.
So it has a very far-reaching effect. I mean, do you find that it's done that with you, Joja?
Oh, it does. It does. Um, I realize, of course, I'm not a builder. I'm totally not a builder. I'm a really a people's person.
Mm,
And honestly, everybody was is telling me now that you know you're the leader of the whole community, and I am, yeah, but I'm not a kind of a leader. I said I don't like to lead people, and but yeah, you start to grow into it, and it's amazing. Yeah, I wouldn't say I don't like it to say it like, oh yeah, people are now listening to
mm.
me or something like that. But I love to guide them. I like to inspire them, and yeah, that's really, yeah, that made me grow a little bit, and that made me grow to indeed to do these conferences, of course,
Mm.
that I'm also involved with MetaMeets.
Yes, well, we're going to come to that.
Yeah.
So, MetaMeets, yes, you've anticipated it. What is the history behind MetaMeets, Joja? Where did the idea come from for a start? I mean, it seems like a simple thing, you know, but tell us about it. How did the idea grow, first of all?
It started in 2008, where, you know, when the hype was going down.
Mm,
And yeah, we were in the Netherlands. I was like, you know, because of course my involvement with the ING Bank, with Philips Design, and all kinds of other yeah connection that I got, of course, in the Netherlands community.
mm,
Um, we were like, you know, yeah, what will what's going to happen next? So another person that I met was Zimu, and he's working in the Bali where we have MetaMeets now. Who's, yeah, doing a lot in cross media. We said let's bring all the people together in the Bali and just see. Let's talk with each other. So we first started off with a simple meetup with all of us, and it was really like various people, indeed, from the brands of ING, IBM, Philips Design, but also artists um, that came over there. Who else was there? Also from the education department
mm,
came there, and then we just, you know, came together and said, well, what's going to happen next? And we all believed in it, that it will develop much and much more. Um, so from there, we started to, yeah, we were hoping to be a part of the picnic in September in 2008, where also Philip Rosdale was there. But because it was happening so fast, with the organization, we had to let it go in the kind of case. And some other group called ADverse um, took it over, and they had a great event in the Bali. And that gave us a little bit more time to develop it in 2009. And we just first of all, we wanted to have it as an idea of being it an kind of an European SLCC. Um, but how tough it sounds. If we wanted to have sponsors in the Netherlands, especially, we had to be about virtual worlds and not especially about only Second Life. So we had to make it much more broader and make it indeed into a MetaMeets totally about 3D internet, which is also good because then you can explore and see how other platforms are developing. So indeed, in 2009, that was mainly the topics like, okay, the hype is over, and what is left, and what is now developed, and what will bring the future. And we brought in, of course, the open theme, and we had active worlds and Second Life as main examples. And that's how it all started. And what we do is also that we are bringing in 4 topics that we are covering, and that is really the educational, that's the business, the entertainment, where art, music, and machinima making is part of it, and community. And we do that in very easygoing way. It's not about, and that's really what I really force into. It's not about pitch talks, for instance, like look at me, I have a good product, blah blah. No, because that you can do in other conferences, and but this is really about let's get together, let's see how it all develop, and learn from each other and cooperate with each other. And of course, in the evening time, we have, of course, the entertainment and music and great networking with each other. Yeah. And
last year, let me just go back to last year a bit. Last year, you were in Dublin, weren't you?
We were in Dublin.
Yeah. Now, I remember we were supposed to be coming over, but actually, it was a very sooty sort of time of year. And so we had this extraordinary situation at MetaMeets, as far as I could work out, where, in fact, it was easier to get from America to Ireland than it was to get from, say, the UK to Dublin because of the volcanic ash that was floating around, crossing our path, so we couldn't fly. So how did it go last year then?
It was indeed rough, but because of the experience we had, of course, in 2008 and 2009, we knew, like, let's say we can do this MetaMeet, for instance, in my backyard, because we can be virtual, or we can be, we can be real and we can be virtual, especially because it's such a cross-media event. So it was very tough to come over, and almost it was like, okay, guys, we have to find a little place maybe in the Netherlands to have some of the speakers here and maybe some in Dublin, etc., etc. But okay, luckily we could come over anyway. But at least on that time we could show the world, like, despite whatever is happening, you can still continue with your conference. Unfortunate, of course, there were, Robin Harper was really planning to come over in real life, but she couldn't come over either because all the flights were cancelled. And she could do it now on, she could now do it virtually. So the whole program could still continue. Only, part of it had to be virtual and part had to be live. Nevertheless, it was very nice to see in Dublin itself, and that is that really has that's because of course the hard working of John Mahon, and I'm sorry,
whole team, really,
okay,
isn't it?
John Mahon and his team, creating Dublin virtually live. That we had still a great real life audience over there of very interesting people.
I mean, it does point out one thing, I think, Joja, is that, for example, you and I are in two different time zones, and then we have a live audience in world here who are on probably at least four or five different time zones that I can see just at a glance. And it means that the energies we are using to bring you GRIDwrap are very, very different. I mean, Jojo and I are probably towards the end of those energies, at the end of our day to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're trying to organize a conference, and we talk about 3D virtual worlds as a huge advantage in being able to communicate with other people and organize and do project management and bring teams together, and it's good for training. Um, you're talking generally we're talking generally, really, about trying to have all those people in the same time zone at the same time. Um, however, it doesn't pan out like that, does it? Because really, one of the advantages of, as you say, is that there are people from all over the world. The disadvantage, it could be seen as a disadvantage, is that they are all on different time zones. How do you deal with that when you're setting up MetaMeets, Joja?
Um, yeah, well, indeed, it has been a little bit of a problem, but yeah, we focus, of course, indeed for the European market also, and of course, we like to bring in the overseas worlds,
Mm.
and yeah, we that is something where we're going to do something different to for this year is that we will start a little bit later in time. So normally we start around 10 o'clock or something like in the morning. So yeah,
Mm.
unfortunately it's overseas. We'll have to wake up early or maybe or set the clocks, etc. But uh, that is something that we have to do also all the time. So, but we this time we will do indeed, we start a little bit late, so we start at 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We will have the speeches, and so we can cover a little bit all the time zones. And yeah, honest, we just hope that the interest is that well that everybody will feel like having setting up the clocks and of course it is all recorded so everybody can see it back. Um, so yeah, we
That's all right. So no frayed
yeah.
tempers.
No. And I see, so Bethany in the audience is saying something like, "No sleep."
No
Indeed,
sleep.
no
I'm dizzy.
sleep, no sleep. We don't get sleep.
Well, I
Totally
should point
don't.
out that Tessa Harrington, who is normally co-host with us, has been on a 24-hour day, I think pretty well all over the weekend, and has
Mm.
succumbed to sleep finally this afternoon, which is why she can't be with us tonight. But
Oh.
yeah, they've got a big push on something at the moment. So, um, right, so tell us about the programming. Tell us about the programming that's happening.
How that is going to yeah, how does that develop? Well, what we do is we try to bring in a kind of a subject that is really concerning for the time at that point. Let's say, like I said, in 2009, we really like, okay, what kind of virtual worlds are left over, and how are
Mm.
we using it in all these, in this all these different kind of elements. Last year in Dublin, we really were talking about the community. What is the community doing it
Mm.
with all the virtual platform? Unfortunately, what we do realize is from this year, of course, virtual world started to be a little bit fading away, especially because of Linda Lab's unfortunate changes. Yeah, many left, and many are saying, around, especially in Europe, are saying, well, Second Life is now dead.
Mm.
And so we are trying to say, no, they're still there and they developed. So that's why we have for this year, we have the topic, let's create 3D. And that means that we're not talking about, okay, let's go into, let's say Second Life, put a prim on on a space and change it into colors and shapes. No, we really want to show the audience what kind of software you can use for it. What is the development in behind the scenes, for instance, for music making or broadcasting or machinima making,
Mm.
and also indeed for the progresses. What is what actually the company business is using it now for? As we know, we have now, for instance, Unity 3D developments where you can have virtual worlds on web based, and you see lots of companies using that.
Mm.
And we will show, of course, the advantages and disadvantages on those virtual worlds. And we see, of course, the other virtual worlds that are now being developed by OpenSim, and especially the educational are using it a lot, because, of course, with when Second Life was not still for 18. I mean, they
Mm.
had still the difficulties to for the age differences, of course. So yeah, that is what we're going to show, and we're going to have somebody indeed again of Nokia, who's still very interested in what they're doing here in Second Life, and they're going to have a very interesting speech about daring to change, and that is.
Oh.
I heard the speech and I'm like, yeah, I hope lots of companies will listen to this and try to get their interest again in developing in virtual worlds.
That sounds tremendously exciting. I mean, I think part of the problem for me when I go to a conference is that I am very kind of eclectic. I like to go and see everything that's going on across the board, just get a taster of it all. How is the streaming fixed? I would hate to have to organise the streaming. How is the streaming fixed, Joja?
Um, Honestly, that is so technical. That is so technical. That is so technical. And therefore, really, there's many questions for Zimu. And I must say, that's why we go to Amsterdam. That's why we go to the Bali in Amsterdam, because over there, the whole lines are open. They're so open-minded, how you say it yeah, just to bring out every let's say event that they're having. You can listen
Mm.
into, you can watch it on you can see the streams, etc.
Mm.
And that is something, I must say, that is something I notice in the Netherlands too. You would like to do this conference, but then you go to a conference hall and then you always have to fight and and try to explain that you have to get the best broadband ever, and indeed you have streaming and stuff like that, so please provide us with the best technical support. But unfortunately, they don't have it yet because they don't realize what kind of conferences this is. So luckily in the Bali we have. So yeah, that's one headache less for me, to be quite honest. And we will have a perfect broadband. We have perfect streaming, and we will have a great help from you guys. Don't forget to mention that. And oh yes, and I just good to say also, we will have a very interesting MC who's going to moderate the whole conference, and that will be Predator of Ian Hughes. So that's going to be great fun.
Now, he's a bit of a metaverse evangelist, isn't he, Mr.
Oh yes,
Hughes?
oh yes,
But
he is.
I believe he started off a sort of second, third life or something, somebody was saying on children's television. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm sorry, I heard that those rumors either, so I don't know quite the information yet. But who knows?
Yeah.
We will hear it all about it during MetaMeets.
Ah, will we indeed?
Mm.
So, yeah, that is something that is unsubstantiated and is entirely rumour. Oh, so I'm getting IM'd now, so with a little list of things. 3 times a week on ITV, the Cool Stuff Collective. There we are. Now, I haven't seen the Cool Stuff Collective, but I'll be glued to it tomorrow if it's on. So, that's independent television, and that's Mr. Ian Hughes, who's going to be fronting the Metaverse MetaMeets for 2011. So, what other guests, what other speakers, who have you got there, Joja?
Mm, hmm, who can we tell?
Well, you've got talks on machinima, for example, which is
Yes, of
one
course.
interest that's burgeoning, machine cinema. So that's burgeoning. I mean, it's kind of what we do.
Yeah,
Um,
of course I have. Oh, I'm so
mm,
sorry. Yeah, because yeah, too nervous, of course. But okay, I'm relaxing now, and then everything is popping in my head. Of course, what is going to be special during this MetaMeets is that we're going to do two things. We have, of course, the speeches, and
mm,
the other thing is we're going to have workshops because we
mm,
also would like to experience the people how to use, all this software and see
mm.
how things are created. And indeed, Chantal Harvey, our mother of machinimas, is going to do a workshop, and we will have on the Friday evening we will present the Mama Machinima International Festival. So we will
That's a
all
good
be
idea. Yeah, because
watching
that's
it.
normally
Yeah,
just in world, isn't it?
yeah. It's normally only in World, but we're now
Mm,
doing it also in real life, and that is something as a communities manager, I would love to say that. If we go a little bit as to what I love to do, the community management in this world, is that one thing I find very important, and that is why MetaMeets is so wonderful and so great to do, is that I think in one time, despite you are all virtual, and of course it's your own choice. It's not that you must, must have a
mm,
must to meet each other in real life, but it is very handy. It's always great to meet each other once in your lifetime. That
mm,
makes it also, so powerful and enthusiastic. And I find it also very important as a community manager that, at least once in a while have a meeting with each other. Just go
mm,
out, have a drink, and just talk about it. And of course, I do understand that some people are like to be anonymous, and of course, we respect that. It's not like, ugh, now you're not part of the community anymore.
mm.
No, if you like it, do so. And that is what is also MetaMeets is all about. So yeah, we're going to have this huge festival also in the program, which is going to be great. So yeah,
I
Chantal
always
will be
think
there.
about yeah, I always think about meeting somebody who's been an avatar to me. I
Yeah,
think now after having sort of experienced it a couple of times, it's a bit like for me, it's a bit like getting a Christmas present that you've asked for. You kind of know what you're getting, but you don't really know. You
yeah,
still
that's
like to take the
true.
wrapping off and have a look. So that's
True.
kind of how it's been for me. I think it's happened on 3 occasions now, and I think that's the best analogy I can have, really.
Oh yeah, it's totally, and especially if you are, it's like if you are in a normal conference, let's say you never
Mm,
met somebody and you don't know what it's all about, you always are a little bit reserved, and that is also funny indeed, like you say, if you in a conference like this, it's okay. You first look at each other, and then it's like, well, what's your avatar name? Oh, my avatar name is this, and then what's yours? Oh, this is that. Oh, really? Are you that? Oh, I'm so great to meet you. I'm so honored. Those kind of things are happening, and it is so much. And you started to be quickly more familiar with each other
mm,
than, let's say, yeah, in the other conferences, we really are like, okay, who are you? What, etc. You're more distant, and that is so wonderful. And of course, the prejudice. There is no prejudice at all. I mean, it's amazing if you meet people, and yeah, sometimes you, of course, you do see people who are in wheelchairs and stuff like that, and you don't care, and they notice also from you they don't care because you do talk to them as the way they are as an avatar, which I really love. Yeah.
So once you've got over that shock, I mean, you had a ball last. I mean, literally a dance, didn't you, to open it with at the last day? Are you going to do that again this year?
Oh, you mean on the first one I did? I
Yes.
opened it with the pajamas. Yes, I did. um yeah, because I wanted to show the world that, we could do business, we could do, we can teach people, yeah, we can teach our students and everything in nowadays in our pajamas, and that's why I wanted to present if you are indeed using this platform.
Mm.
as a tool. I wouldn't say, and that is something, of course, that I say also to companies, or that indeed don't see these virtual worlds as okay. This is how you say that, the real stuff, or how you say this. I'm so sorry, my English is a little bit like, but it's
Your English is brilliant, Joja. Let me
thank you.
just say that right up.
Thank you. Um, but I wanted to say is that virtual worlds is a tool. There are it's not your oh yeah, help me, Dousa, help me. How
It's
can I
well, yeah. If
say?
it's a tool that you use, it's not your
Yeah,
entire life.
yeah,
A
it's not your
virtual.
time.
Though
Yeah.
some people might see it
Mm.
as their entire lives, I think, because depending on their circumstances, really.
Not true. Oh, that we come back, of course, to the community management, how you deal with that. Um, Indeed, it's very important that you are saying, we have a no nonsense policy in that sense. Like, oh, please, guys, be careful with creating drama,
Mm.
especially because you're talking about. You only, yeah, in most of the time you are chatting, and despite of course now also with voice, etc., you still don't see the movement of my face. You don't see my
Mm.
my body expressions to understand what I'm really saying. And I said also, please be careful. And therefore, real life meetings are very important too, because then you can understand maybe sometimes a misunderstanding for words. If you see the person itself, then you can understand, oh, that's why he said it that way because of blah,
Mm.
blah, blah, because the way he is. And then you can respect it much more. And
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that can be difficult. It didn't turn out. I mean, for me, when I first came in, it was fine being in text, and I really didn't want to be in voice.
mm,
And I imbued all text with a hopeless glow of rosy optimism. So for a long, long time whilst I was in here, and then kind of started to eke away. It started to go away with voice. The more that I was hearing people in voice, because it was very recent, I think. Well, actually, it came in probably whilst I was here. The more I heard people in voice, and the more I had to speak, kind of the bigger the drama used to get for some reason. So I'm not quite sure why that is. One of the things I thought, and I don't know what you think about this, Joja, is that because I work on a headset, right? I don't work on speakers at all. I work on headset the whole time. So the voice is very close to me. It's in my ear. And normally nobody would be that close to me under normal circumstances. So they're really vocally within my personal space. And I think that if you start off with that view, you get used to it, right? And so that intimacy doesn't feel quite as well. It doesn't feel so intimate after a while, but because you get used to it, you put it in its place. But I suspect that's partly something that kind of invasion of a very private headspace is partly something to do
mm.
with it. It's probably safer to listen on speakers, I think.
Maybe it is. No, but that's true. Honestly, I only use voice for, let's say, a quick explanation. But indeed, chatting is more charming, and indeed, like you say, it's also a little bit anonymous,
Mm.
so to speak. It is, and you can read back, of course, and you have a lot of
True.
typos, and you can make funny expressions on it. But yeah, honestly, I don't. Yeah, like I said, I only use the voice mainly for, yeah, if for a quick explanation. But I found it weird, and also indeed, like you say, if you hear it yourself, it is like, yeah, it's a
So
bit
quickly
weird.
back to MetaMeets because we're
Yes.
coming up to the end of the program really in about 10
Okay.
minutes. But what about the music side of it? Music side is usually very strong at MetaMeets, I think, isn't it? What's happening this year?
Um, I don't know.
Excuse
Because that's Slimmy's part. She keeps me in the dark in those things. No, she's going to line up of very great musicians, and well,
That's
for the
Slim Warrior.
yeah, Slim Warrior. For the first night, we will have, of course, we will, yeah, we will have two things. Of course, we have the Machinima Festival where we will focus on, and probably we will have a lounge area where we have some, yeah, wonderful DJs. And yeah, the next day on Saturday, it's going to be very surprising again. And we hope that, yeah, we're going to have a great venue again. We had last time, we had an Irish pub called Molle Malone's in Amsterdam, which really are happy to have us. But yeah, but honestly, yeah, I'm not really don't know a lot about it yet. Slimmy is the one who's dealing with that.
And of
But
course,
yeah, she
we
will.
are going to stream it. We're along with MetaWorld.
Yes, we
We're going
are.
to be
We are.
streaming it out onto the internet. So
Oh, can
everybody
I
out
tell
there,
you about something
yes,
about that? You know, on 2009, I was I found it very surprising. There was this, you know, it was, yeah, Molly Malone's, it was very, yeah, warm day during that time. So part of the people was sitting outside also of the pub, and they could hear the music. And suddenly we have this great artist called Al Hoffman, and yeah, honestly, I don't know that much about the music scene than I do now. And so, and it was so funny that I was talking to this person, you know, across me, and he suddenly stopped talking to me, and he said, "Joja, is this Al Hoffman?" I said, "Yeah, Al Hoffman." "Really?" I said, "Yes, he's here."
mm,
"Do you mean he's here in real life?" "Yes, he is here in real life. He's just playing inside." "Really? Amazing. I must see him. I must go in there. Sorry, I have to finish the talking and stuff." He was going really crazy as a fan. And he was, you know, Al Hoffman is honestly, of course, a
mm.
Dutch person. And he was coming from England. And I was like, huh? Okay. And then, of course, it felt a little bit like me if we talk back about Duran Duran, of course. But it was so amazing to see people going so enthusiastic and so wonderfully to see that, you know, that great artist. And yeah, meeting them in real life. And he really didn't believe it that he was there for real. I said, yeah, he's there inside. So he rushed off. It was really wonderful. And it is so great. Ah, love this world. Mm, sorry, had to tell you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm tremendously excited that it's in Amsterdam because it is a very beautiful city. But tell me something. If people want to come, it's all worlds, isn't it? It's not just about Second Life.
No, it's not only about Second Life. We really want to a little bit being. Of course, we're using the platforms, but we really wanted to show what you can create on all these platforms. And yeah, like I said, you can, for instance, use the software Blender, and you can create something in Blender and put it in Second Life, or you can put it on another OS grid. Maybe, yeah. We just have to see how many platforms. We are trying to, of course, yeah. We Club Glow, we agreed to be there. We are also busy to get IMVU because I find it very important to see, you know, other platforms where you can also create, and that's what you can do in IMVU too. So we're still negotiating with that. Yeah, so that will all be about all kinds of platforms, especially
Well, that's
because yeah, there's so
fantastic.
many
Yeah.
are developing. Yeah. And what we also want to do, and that is what I find also very important. That's something we're going to do on the first day, is that we will have a discussion about uh, Creative Commons.
Mm.
What I do want to be aware, and of course, we have all these copyright issues and all the stealing of all kinds of things. But I would like to trigger people also, uh, you know, do create, but also cooperate with each other. You know, together we can develop most wonderful things. So don't be afraid of issues like copyright or things like that, but indeed use the Creative Commons. And yeah, because sometimes people are so, hooked up on their items and so getting so nervous and sometimes making the most ridiculous lawsuits, which I was thinking like, come on, we are still in a pioneer's situation. So I would love to open that discussion, but also to be aware what it's all about.
Okay.
Creative.
So, which bit of MetaMeets are you looking forward to most, Joja? Is that fair to say? I know it's quite early. Tell us when it is. It's in June, isn't it, this year?
Yeah, it's on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of June.
In Amsterdam. And where would people go to book tickets and their...
They can go to www.metameets.com. For the time being, yeah, we have the early birds tickets. Unfortunately, we do not have the real speakers and programs on it, but I want to thank somebody really in the audience, and that's Pete Master for setting up this wonderful website. It's a new one, so we are now, making it grow. So soon, hopefully, we can bring up the speakers, and of course about all the workshops and all the exciting things. So yeah, they can register over there.
Okay. And so is the hotel included with it, or is it just the tickets? They find their own hotel?
No, unfortunately, that is not really the case in the Netherlands, as it is, for instance, in SLCC, which, that's much more beautiful, of course, arranged if you can have the hotel with it. But because of broadband, because of the technical issues, you can hardly do that in the Netherlands. So yeah, unfortunately, it's only the tickets for the venue. But we always provide for drinks and lunches and etc. for the 3 days. And unfortunately, travel costs, travels and hotels you have to deal with yourselves. But we try to give you some advices on the website.
Well, to be honest, it's really worth going because Amsterdam is a very beautiful city and there is lots to do there, quite apart from the conference. And let's face it, MetaMeets can only grow and grow, can't it, Joja? Yeah. I mean, perhaps that's a leading question, but...
yeah, we hope
future?
So, and we are still, of course, as we say, we're learning every year. The first year, of course, we learned about how we do the streaming. Second year, well, we had this unfortunate thing, the volcano, but we still could go on. It's not like, okay, we could stop. And we of course with the time differences. So and now we have, for instance, the workshops with it. So yeah, we are developing and we're not sure. Of course, actually the planning was to go to Berlin this year, but unfortunate because of that the whole virtual world interests were collapsing a little bit. And I noticed in the Netherlands that it was still growing. I said, okay, guys, let me handle it for this year again in Amsterdam. But we really hope that we go to Berlin and we hope that we can work with 3D Germany community. That will be so great. I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds fantastic. Okay, I'm going to ask you... we're just sort of starting to wrap up now. We've just got a few minutes left. And what we generally do at the end of the program, Jojo, is say just what's on our mind and maybe what our hopes and fears are. It just can be anything. It doesn't have to be about anything that we've talked about today.
Well, honestly, I would like to bring up something about the community management, if you don't mind, which is a little bit also to do with Second Life itself and also with LindaLab. And it's a little bit of a grumpy thing. I know it's a different program, but but honestly, what I found a pity in the whole community management is, of course, we have now, we have great sims over here. We have great huge communities, and in the year of 2008 and 2009, we had this great program called the Community Gateway, which we actually built it up with LindaLab. And unfortunately, because of the changes, it had been brought down, which was such a pity, because also MetaMeets couldn't exist. I wouldn't say couldn't exist. Of course, could exist, but with the help of this community gateway, we could get more in touch with the other communities and get them involved also. And that's why, it became more European and international, etc. And I really dearly hope that Lindelab will do and look back again to that program because it really made community cooperate with each other. We really had great cooperation, of course, with Dublin, with London, with Germany, but with also with the Leiden community, with the ferries and everything. And it's such a pity that that part is ruined in a kind of way. And I really hope that that will come back again, so that we can make the community stronger here also in this beautiful platform called Second Life. Amen.
Well, thank you, Joja, very much. And I have to thank you immensely for it's been a very interesting, enjoyable, and informative talk that we've had today. And I want to say thank you to you very much, and thank you to all our audience here in world on Metaverse Island and the audience on the net. And we're not going to forget what's happening out in the wider world in Japan. Joja and I talked about it earlier.
Totally not. And
yes.
Yeah.
And we would encourage anybody who's around Second Life, or indeed, I don't know whether you can get out of Second Life, but basically I know lots of people are doing initiatives to raise money and get it through to the Red Cross, who are helping everybody in Japan at the moment, and
really?
other strife-ridden places. That's, I think,
you're saying that I'm getting a little bit emotional, especially because Mel Burns also mentioned it yesterday on the Metaverse TV Week in Review. I mean, a lot of beautiful Japanese sims are there, beautiful creators, and we do not know what's happened to these creators at this moment. Oh, my heart really goes out to them, and Violin the Bear, I got him, and do support and all my thoughts to them. Yeah, and that makes it also powerful here that we can all, give them a strong heart to them.
That we can move internationally.
Yes.
In ways that others can't, at least get news through. And we have been getting news through about various people who we've known, we've been in contact with in world, for example. So they've had messages through, but there is also a huge silence in places. So
yes, that's true.
Okay, so we're just urging all Second Lifers to buy Linden Bears and to and basically everybody really to do what they can with the Red Cross.
Oh, so definitely do so. They need all the help of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody, and that's all we have time for today. And we'll be back with you on Thursday with Spot on 3D.com office hours. So we look forward to that. So take care, everybody, and good night.
Thank you, and bye-bye.